What would change in your life if anxiety wasn't your default? If your first response to challenges was curiosity instead of catastrophe? If you could access your wisdom even in the middle of stress? That's what we're talking about today. If you've been following this series, you know we've been on a journey together. We started by identifying our saboteurs, the mental patterns that keep us stuck in fear and stress and reactivity. Then we learned how to interrupt them with PQ reps, the simple tools that shift us out of mental autopilot back into the present moment. Today we're talking about what becomes possible when we live consistently from the sage. This is where the real transformation happens, where we stop going from surviving our days and start truly thriving in the life we were created to live. So what is sage mode? The sage is the wise, calm, creative part of us that operates from love, not fear. It's who we are when we're not hijacked by anxiety and self-judgment or the need to control everything around us. Have you ever been in flow? The moments when you're so present that time just seems to stand still, everything clicks into place, and it just feels easy. That's sage mode. That's the real you beneath all the mental noise. In sage mode, you respond instead of react. You create instead of trying to control, and you trust instead of worry. You're still fully engaged with life, but you're operating from a place of inner stability that doesn't get shaken by every storm that comes your way. This is you operating the way God designed you to function. When you're living from your sage, you have access to 5 incredible powers that get buried when the saboteurs are running the show. The first power was a difficult one for me to implement because I was so used to being really my worst critic, and it's the power to empathize. You know how we can be really mean to ourselves, like mess up, maybe yell at the kids, or forget a really important thing we were supposed to do, and our immediate response is, I'm such a terrible person. But what if instead you could flip the script and be kind to yourself? I know it sounds radical, but if you acknowledge that you're overwhelmed, you're carrying a lot, and treat yourself like you would a good friend going through the same thing, something shifts. You give yourself room to grow. You can also extend that same compassion when others are struggling. You can empathize with their experience without taking it on as your own burden. The second power is the one I use most frequently, and it allows me to take a trigger and really dig under the surface to sort out what I'm actually thinking. It's the power to explore. We're really quick to judge ourselves when we get stuck in negative loops. But what if instead of, why do I always do this? We get curious. Like, what am I trying to protect here? Do I actually believe what I'm telling myself right now? It's amazing what opens up when you approach yourself with curiosity instead of criticism. This works for circumstances too. When something challenging happens, instead of saying, bad things always happen to me, you could ask, what could I learn from this situation? What opportunity might be hiding here? The third power is where we shift from default to creation mode. As we open our mind to different solutions, it's the power to innovate. Most of us get stuck in the same patterns, right? So maybe you're always the one handling everything for everyone, and you're exhausted and resentful, but you just don't know how to change. From sage mode, you might come up with completely different ways to help people that don't drain you. Creative solutions you couldn't see when you were stuck in the middle of the old way of thinking. This creativity starts showing up everywhere in how you solve problems at work, navigate family conflicts, or even approach community challenges. Fresh solutions you couldn't see from saboteur mode. The fourth power helps you prioritize where to put your energy. Instead of bouncing from thing to thing, it keeps you grounded in what is most important to you. It's the power to navigate. Ever feel like you're being pulled in a million different directions? Career stuff, family needs, things you actually want to do for yourself? From sage mode, you can step back and see the bigger picture. What actually matters most right now in this season? You can make choices from that clarity instead of just reacting to whoever's demanding your attention the loudest. This applies to helping others too. When friends and family are stuck, you can see their bigger picture and help them focus on what really matters for their situation. The final power is the power to activate, and it moves you from thinking and planning into actually doing something, breaking that cycle of knowing what you should do, but never quite getting there. How many things are you doing right now because you feel like you should, or you're afraid of letting people down? From sage mode, you choose things that actually fit who you are and what you can handle. Then you show up fully present for those things instead of being resentfully spread too thin. You can help others move forward too. Instead of enabling their stuck patterns, you encourage action that aligns with their values. This isn't pop psychology, it's how God designed us to function. When Jesus said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light," he was describing what it's like to operate from sage instead of saboteurs. The fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are all sage qualities. They represent positive qualities that flow naturally when we're operating from love instead of fear. Our saboteurs want us to believe that anxiety and control are necessary for survival, but God designed us for so much more. When we live from sage, we're actually living aligned to who He created us to be. Here's what I want you to understand. When you operate from sage mode, you give everyone around you permission to do the same. Your peace becomes contagious. Your creativity inspires others. You model what emotional regulation actually looks like. You break generational patterns of stress and reactivity. You become a safe harbor for others in their storms. Now, living in sage consistently isn't about perfection. It's about practice. The more we strengthen these neural pathways we've been talking about, the more natural it will become. All right, if you have watched this entire series, thank you for taking the time to invest in yourself. You've developed a good baseline for understanding how to change. Keep identifying your saboteurs, work on staying present, and keep shifting into sage mode. If this series really resonates with you and you want to go deeper, I'd love to coach you. I run PQ boot camps every few months where we build these practices into daily life, and I'll give you the guidance you need to make it stick. To help you go a little deeper before making that commitment, we can set up a free discovery session to analyze your saboteurs, see how they're impacting you, and talk about what life could look like without them. All right, before I finish, I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine waking up and your first thought isn't your to-do list or what might go wrong today. Imagine responding to chaos with calm presence instead of adding your own stress to the mix. Imagine making decisions from clarity instead of fear, from wisdom instead of worry. Imagine being the person your family turns to for peace instead of feeling like you're always managing everyone else's stress. Imagine feeling confident in your choices, present in your relationships, and aligned with your purpose. This is not fantasy, and it's not too good to be true. It's what becomes possible when we consistently live from sage instead of from saboteurs. We were created for this kind of peace. We were designed for this kind of wisdom. The question isn't whether you're capable of it. You absolutely are. The question is, are you ready to step into it? Your homework is this. Put it all together. Awareness is the first step. Call out the saboteur and they will begin to lose their power. Use your senses to become fully present and shut down the spiral. Then access your sage powers of empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and activate to move into your new life, one filled with creativity, flexibility, and wisdom. If this series blessed you, please feel free to share it with your friends who could use it. The more of us that are working on these skills, the better off we're all going to be. It's time to get to work.